All right.
Well, cool. We're doing this.
Yeah,
Hey,
let's
Adam.
go. Good to see you, man.
So thanks for meeting with me. Just for some context, right? I mean, you're an incredible podcaster, right? You've got your Up and Adam show, and you were kind enough to present at the Central Coast Writers Conference. That's how I met you, and you gave a presentation on the art of interview, and I thought that was really cool because like I'm a business consultant. That's my day job when I'm not doing writing stuff, and to me, interview is sort of like you said, it's an art, it's a craft. Like it's an important part of my job as a business consultant because I'm sort of always talking to people and trying to get at like what's the thing behind the thing that they're doing to help understand how to make their businesses function better.
Yeah.
And so from meeting with you and sort of hearing your talk, it occurred to me I want to be better at interviewing. And so to do that, you have to practice. And so I just really thank you for one agreeing to be sort of my first interviewee in this path. And then yeah, hopefully there will be more interviews. So yeah, one, Adam, thank you for joining me. Is there anything else you want to say about yourself?
No, not really. I mean, I really appreciate, this opportunity. It's going to be fun. It was cool to meet you, and you asked a lot of great questions during the workshop at the Writers Conference. I hadn't done anything like that before, so I didn't really know what to expect, but it was a really cool experience. And I think the enthusiasm of people, like you really made it that much more worth it. So, I thanks for, keep being enthusiastic then and still, carrying with it. There was a few people that I met, that day that are still keeping in contact and are really like going after something. So I think that's really exciting.
That's cool. One of my questions, just sort of like, how did you start? You've been in this industry for 20 years, but did you start sort of in front of the mic or behind the mic, or how did you get involved in what do you even call it? You don't call it radio anymore,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Well,
yeah,
I mean, I
what?
started in radio, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
I always loved radio. Wanted to get into radio when I was a kid, and then um, took classes in college for radio. Got a job in that course, and then found full time work in that time. And then so I left school to just work in radio, to work full time in radio. Radio is those kind of it's the kind of thing you say yes and just kind of jump from market to market and job to job and gig to gig until you get to the place where you want to be. And started in Ventura County. That was the first on-air job I did was at KCLU at Cal
Hmm.
Lumen University, and that was just to build an air check because I mean, you did get paid there. It was NPR station. And then I went to KDAR in Ventura, and then just worked weekends. And then within 3 months, got offered afternoons, which was really cool. Spent a year or so there doing afternoons, and then I moved up here. And then I did some production work from like '01 to '03, then moved up here to the Central Coast in
Hmm.
2003 to work at Wild 106. And then living here, it was a few different radio stations, different times, morning show on the beach, and then I did the morning show on K-Jug with Chad Stevens and Tom Kafuri later on. And then it was the beach, and then came back to AGM to start Up and Adam in the morning in 2010.
Okay. And I guess going back to the very beginning, like, do you remember what your first on-air interview was? What it
Yeah,
was like?
my first interview was then a girl named Katie Hudson, who was a Christian singer,
No.
16 years old, and then she became Katy Perry. And we were each other's first interview when she was 16 years old. It was
No
great. She was
way.
really cool. Yeah.
That's cool. I've been sick. I'm not sure how you're supposed to cough on an on-air interview, but we'll
I know,
we'll get
it's
through.
so funny because I cleared
Do
my
you have a
throat a second
special?
ago. You do is just hit the mute button because every time sometimes I'll need to clear my throat, and hopefully I hit the mute button good. And yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Hey, I'm
Oh,
already
that's
a pro.
good. I hope you're feeling better.
um, that's huge, right? I mean, so Katy Perry was your first interview, but I guess you didn't know she was Katy Perry at the time.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't. She even called her, I mean, her real name is Katie Hudson. So she was
Mhm.
going by Katie Hudson. She was 16, and she was just like, really enthusiastic, uh, contemporary Christian singer,
Mhm.
writer. She wrote her whole
Yeah.
album, and she
Mhm.
was really cool. And we had a really, yeah, it was just like, I think I have the interview. My voice sounds so different, as does hers. And I even said something really silly that was like, yeah, I definitely see like you going really far, like something silly like that. And now she's like huge.
Everything, yeah. And I guess progressing in your career, was there one interview maybe later on, like, I guess, right, you have to get these reps and you get better. Was there an interview where you said like, wow, like I'm really good at this?
It was that time that I mentioned in that workshop where I was talking to John Waite, who was the singer of that
Mm-hmm.
song "Missing You," that song from the '80s, like "I ain't missing you at all." That one.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had to, I happened to ask him a question about, he had come out of a band when that song came huge, 84, 85, I don't know. And I had asked him what I thought was a pretty simple question, like, do you think that song would be as big for you in retrospect if you were still with your band at the time and had you not gone to become a solo artist? And for some
Mm-hmm.
reason, he was just like blown away by that question. And so much so where he like stopped and reacted to it. And then during the interview, like went back to it. And at the end of the interview, even brought it up again. I was like, whoa, that one question really stuck with this dude. And here I am thinking, like, here's a song that by all stretch, we're like 30 years past that song now, right? It's like 20, let's say 2012, 2013, 14, whenever it was that this interview happened. This song happened in the mid 80s. And here he is. He's probably interviewed the song about the song forever. He's probably performed the song a bunch. And here he is like thinking of his own song in a completely new way because of something I happened to ask. That was really like, it just showed me not so much like, oh, I'm really good at this. It showed me like, wow, those of us who interview have a real power to shape the way that the artist, the chef, the whoever you're interviewing looks at their own path and the things that they do have made or done or whatever. And that was like, whoa, that became, it like opened a door for me where I was like, I want to get that reaction from every person I interview. Like I want every single person to at least have one question where they literally say something about it, like, great question, or oh this, or oh that, or oh, you really nailed what I was thinking of. I mean, I just interviewed someone the other day and it was the first question I asked, and he just said something like, what was it? Where it was like, it really sounds like you got the idea of which I was trying to put out there. I was like, oh, cool. Like
Mm.
this guy feels seen. This guy feels heard. And it just, it really makes for a cool connection when you can dissect something and really make a person who interviews a lot feel like, oh, this interview stood out.
So I loved it right during during your session at the Central Coast Writers Conference. You played this supercut, and it was just your interview guest saying, "Oh, good question, great question. Oh, Adam, that's an amazing question. Adam, good question." And I was just laughing. It felt like watching like an NBA mixtape, and
Yeah.
just everything just swish, swish, and like you're not even watching like the shot. It's just you're just watching the ball just drop through the ball. Oh, good
Yeah.
question. Oh yeah. Oh, Adam, that's a great question.
I saw you laughing at that. I'm like, this guy's laughing at it. This wasn't supposed to be funny, but I don't know. But no, I know what you mean. I totally know what you mean.
So I guess having interviewed over 20 years now, is there maybe a misconception or a misunderstanding you had at the beginning, let's say when you started, as opposed to now, something that's just maybe at the beginning you thought some part of being the interview was really important, and it turns out that that's not important, or maybe your role as an interviewer is actually more robust than you'd originally thought, maybe when you were just starting?
Yeah, yes to the second part. I'm not sure there's anything that I thought then and I maybe don't now, or the opposite. But the where you talk about like your role being more robust than you thought, it really is, because a lot of times when someone, especially like a lot of people I interview, like the national names of people I interview, they're doing a junket where they're interviewing, they're probably sitting in a chair for, 2 hours, and like every 10, 15 minutes, they're jumping to another person. So they're getting the same questions all the time. They're getting a lot of the same repetition. They're very bored of it. I mean, morning radio hosts got really kind of a bad rap of like, oh, here we go, another morning show. Like, the guests didn't like being on them. It wasn't fun. It's unpredictable. And these people like their image to be very polished. They want to know what's
Curated.
going on. You go on a morning radio show, it's like, oh, is it guy going to punk me? Is it going to be this? So like just being involved in morning radio, interviewing like a national name, they're not looking forward to it. You often only have like maybe 7 minutes, 8 minutes. I mean, I've
Hmm.
worked with the people that I do a lot of junkets with now. I'm getting a lot of like 20-minute segments now, which I just love because it really allows you to kind of, take a deep breath, have more of like an arc with the interview, get plenty of times to hit the things that they want to be there for, that they're actually there for, which is important. But also it gives you the chance to like go, like I just did this interview with this gal for a crime podcast that she's doing. And she was the one, did you ever see that? Do you like true crime documentaries?
Hmm. I
Yeah, well,
listen
there's
to a
this
fair
one true
amount.
crime documentary that's pretty well known. I think it's on Netflix called "Don't Fuck with Cats," and it's this woman who, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a really popular in true crime doc. And she was, and I'm like googling and researching her. I'm like, oh my god, this is the gal with "Don't Fuck with Cats." I have to ask her about that. It was such a
Uh-huh.
huge doc. It's yeah, you want to hit why you're here and hit those things. Also, she was there with another gal, so I didn't want too much of my
Mm.
interview to focus on her and not give enough love to the other gal. So you even it out. You ask questions about this, and then you go, "Hey, can I ask you a couple questions about Don't Fuck with Cats?" She's like, "Oh my god, yeah, go ahead." And then I go, "Wow." So then we talk about like that for a minute or two, and then we go back into the other stuff, and we can kind of bring it around again. So yeah, no, it's having a little bit more time and having like a little bit more of like an arc to the interview is really helpful. But you don't know sometimes how much time you're going to have, and if you know that it's not a lot, you got to make the best out of that time.
And so I guess when you think about preparing a guest, right? I guess on a junket, it's just there's some bullet points. You're just going to talk to this person for 5-7 minutes anyways. But on your show, where you have maybe a little bit more control and you're doing these 20-minute interviews, how do you prepare your guest in terms of do you give them questions in advance, or how do you set them up for, oh, this is the flavor of what my show is like, and this is what you should expect? And then is there a time, do you interact with them much like before you press record to sort of get them warmed up, or what do you do there?
Yeah, those are all really good questions. And I would say half and half. I have like a pre discussion with a lot of those junket ones. None of them you do. Like I don't talk
Yeah,
to like
because
when I just interviewed this person, that person. You won't talk. They'll meet you in that moment, and it's like the virtual goes live, and some third party goes, "All right, Ben, here we go. This is Adam Montiel from San Luis Obispo, California. Adam, you got until 48. Go ahead." And then you're just like, and I'm already recording. I'm like, Ben, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you, man. And then I might do one little nugget just to kind of either break the ice or but I don't want to waste any time, and it might not even be something that I play. I'll say something like nice and amiable right off the bat, get their reaction, and then I'll say, and thanks for being up and Adam. And pretty much that next moment is what is recorded, because then when I record my intro, hey, we're talking to Josh Knox, he's blah 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 blah. Josh is this, that, the other, and let's bring him on. Josh, thanks for being up and Adam. And then it's that moment, thanks for having me, Adam, or whatever it is. So what was the second half of your question? Because it was really good too. I just can't remember it.
I was thinking, well, yeah, it's kind of like, how do you prep the person? I mean,
You asked, you asked
imagine
if
the
I
20-minute
people
interview. What do you do in
questions.
advance to say,
Yeah,
like, this is the flavor of my show? This is what should expect
yeah,
when we're talking.
yeah. Those people don't know the flavor of my show. They're really just meeting me then. So it's like it's kind of that you just gotta make them feel comfortable and be disarming and be
Hmm.
welcoming, all in the same like kind of moment. And yeah, if you have a 20-minute interview, you got a couple minutes to kind of like, oh, then you get your groove and then you can kind of wrap it up. But a 7-minute interview, I mean, it feels like just as you're getting going. And then that is zero part to how does this person talk? I mean, we're talking about me, how I talk. I was just did an interview with a guy who was tremendously long-winded. His answers were very long, and it wasn't bad. They were good answers, but I'm like, oh wow, I have like 17 questions here. I think I got to like 4 or 5.
Two,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So like then you go in real time. I'm looking at like my stuff. Like here's the camera. Like I have my screen behind me and the questions. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I gotta take out some of these questions. Like I gotta go to I have good questions at the bottom. I gotta ask
Hmm.
those. So in real time, you're starting to edit. Okay, what am I cutting out? What am I just gonna skip to? And that's all kind of
Hmm.
like happening like that. The people that like the local, or if I'm doing
Say,
long form stuff like with the wineries or interviewing a winemaker, those people do know. Sometimes they'll ask for questions in advance. I talked to the CEO of Strauss Workwear. You're seeing their logo right now all over
hmm.
Major League Baseball. They're a big,
Yeah.
they're partnering up with Paso Wine for something. So I got to interview the CEO of Strauss, who's a great guy. That's a very big company. They got their own podcast studio. I'm dealing with all of their tech people beforehand. I even sit down with them. We're sitting down in a couple weeks, and I'm doing like 2 of these virtual things with his people before. It was a really laborious thing just to sit
Uh-huh.
down with Henning Strauss for 20 minutes, but it was cool. I was like, wow, this is really like, and they wanted to know questions, and I don't like sending questions to people, but
Okay.
someone like that, I'm gonna go, all right, here's kind of where I want to go. I'll put things in the form of questions. I'm saying these aren't the actual questions I'm going to ask. They're not the order I'm going to ask them in. So I don't want him to go, here is this, here is that, here
Here's
is
my
that, and then be ready for these things. We're going to have like a free flowing, extemporaneous conversation. And
Mhm.
if I'm doing my job right, he'll be comfortable and it'll be flowy.
That's great. That makes sense. So let's talk about preparation then, like for you. Uh, let's say 30-minute, let's say local celebrity, local chef type interview. Uh, how much preparation from your side goes into, let's say, a 30-minute that sort of an interview where it's a very noble person, you're going to get an extended amount
Yeah.
of time. And then I guess it's going to be, we'll say it's a 20 to 30-minute interview. How many questions do you prepare for that in advance?
For a 20-minute interview, I prepare about 20. I'll have about a minute a question. Um, I won't get to all of them. But in case, because again, on the flip side of that coin, I told you about with the long-winded dude, I had a gal who was tremendously curt in her answers, where she answered it, da da da, and then every time she would end a sentence like on an up inflection, like da 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 da, and she would just stop. So it was like,
Yeah.
okay, very good. And then we're gonna roll. And now I know that she answers things pretty briefly, and it makes great for follow-up questions. And you just kind of, again, kind of have to pivot and roll with it. But I would say about a minute a question is a fair start of a place to prepare. Do you know the person? Have you interviewed them before? All these kinds of things will weigh in. And
Hmm.
I mean, for a half-hour interview, I mean, I'm Googling for 15, 20 minutes and researching and throwing things that I find into my GPT. And so I can ask questions based on what I'm learning.
Hmm.
And yeah, and then when I get ideas for questions, I'll tweak them. I'll make them my own. Then I write some more that are just mine, but I want to refine how punchy they are and how quick and like
Hmm.
efficiently I can ask them. So I might put those in my GPT and run it like that. Yeah.
And then the output of that, what you actually wind up bringing to your interview, is it basically just like a printed sheet of paper? And do you organize the questions by topic, or is it sort of the flow of how you'd like the conversation to go in its ideal way? Or how do you structure that to make it easy for you visually as you're in the flow of a conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I like from my end, I want to know like where I'm going. We talked in that workshop about those like soft reframes, and that quickly defined is just like sometimes you'll ask a question and they didn't quite hear what you were asking in the way you wanted them to. So they might, one worst case scenario, they'll go, I don't know what you mean. And then now I have like a secondary kind of simpler reworded way of
Hmm.
asking that same thing. Those can help. And when you need them and they're there, that helps, but you don't always need them. From their perspective, it's like you wanted to have the all the best qualities of like a really nice coffee with someone, right? Like you're just sitting across from them for 15, 20 minutes and you might go into this and that. You're going to do a little listening, you're going to do a little talking, and you're just kind of making it very comfortable for them. I mean, if you're doing it right, they're not going to feel so armed and like, okay, like ready to go. They're going to feel disarmed and they're going to feel like you're approachable and like they can derail for a second. Oh, this makes me think of that, and tell you a real quick story or a little, or maybe even open up. I mean, I think it's important to structure your questions and the arc of the. Again, this is kind of going now from my side of the aisle, like going, okay, if I ask this question now, will she quite be ready for it? Maybe I should save that one for a little later on after we've gained a little bit of like
Hmm.
rapport. And I mean, you can use the word trust. I know we've only been talking for 12 minutes, but I mean, there is a little bit of trust there. You know what I mean? Like you're
Mhm.
not, nobody who's, especially if you haven't been interviewed by somebody before, nobody wants to feel like this is going to, whether you mean to or not, step me into a gotcha moment.
Mhm.
Nobody likes that. Nobody who's being interviewed wants to encounter that. So how can you make someone feel like you're protective of their time and image where you're not going to let that happen, that you're going to treat them and do right by them as well?
Mhm. Um, Now you talked about, right, I guess sort of the ways that you use ChatGPT. Right, in my business consulting, we're a very AI forward company. I've done a lot of things with ChatGPT. I built custom GPTs. I've sort of used projects, etc. Um, in as finite of granular detail as you're comfortable, what's baked into your custom GPT? What are the flavors that are in that? And then I assume you add other stuff. You have yeah. What's that core model?
Yeah. So,
What's
and
the
that's a great
Adam?
question. Yeah, right. I mean, because you can, for some, I'm trying to think of like the person listening to this, they could be on any part of the broad spectrum of AI where they're just using like ChatGPT like Google, and they're just
Hmm.
opening up their GPT. Maybe it's a free account. It doesn't know much about them. And they're just like boom, 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 and what it gives them. I think if you, and as you know, working with it a lot, the more you input you into this and work with it, don't let
Hmm.
it just do your job for you, because it won't sound human. It won't be perfect. So to do that, I think, is really important. In mine specifically, we also know that, these LLMs, these large language models are really, they're only as good as the prompt that you give it, right? So
Hmm.
working on specific prompts and working on what are other people using for prompts, and I mean, what's so cool about ChatGPT is you can literally ask it about it and it will tell
Hmm.
you. You know what I mean? Like, hey, help me out with this prompt for Sora 2. Help me out with this prompt for you. I want to give you the best prompt to get XYZ out of it. So it'll straight tell you. And then you look at it and go like, well, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want this many M dashes or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
then you can go, okay, so then I have what I called in our workshop, I talked about um, a model that I created called iced tea. It's silly. It's
Hmm.
because I love the drink. I drink it all the time, and it's ICET, and it stands for Inquisitive. What's the C? I C. What is my iced tea? How do I not remember this? Of course, when I got an interview,
It's
but I
clever,
can't remember my own thing.
inquisitive, clever, engaging, and
Clever.
thoughtful. Yeah.
Engaging and thoughtful, clever. That's so good. I was going to say curious. Thank you for helping me out with my own
That
thing.
would have been
Name
good
of
too.
acronym.
Whoever makes these things could really use go a lot
Yeah.
of ways with them, huh?
So I created that, and that's the kind of model I want to inhabit. So
Hmm.
and again with ChatGPT, long prompts to build, so it knows. Okay, so it's going over the same thing, and then I created this thing, a Google Doc called my iced tea build. So yeah, if I go to it, let me see if I can look at a blank one right now while I'm with you here. Let me get let me move this over here so I can see it. Okay, so like if I'm looking at so I have what I call an Up+Adam toolbox, and it is a
Hmm.
Google. I mean, this is super inside baseball. This is probably going to bore the shit out of a lot of people, but you asked,
This
so I'm
is
going to tell you.
fascinating. This is what I
Yeah.
wanted. This is the good
So,
stuff.
so it's I call it Up+Adam toolbox, and it literally is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tab Google Docs, and the 5
Hmm.
tabs are my iced tea build, my
Hmm.
iced tea questions, my show notes, my ROS, my run a show, and then live copy. And to quickly describe those, my ICT build is where I will literally, well, we'll get to that in a second, because that's going to be where we build the questions. The ICT questions are just that. This is the page I will go on when I'm doing the interview. My show notes
Hmm.
are the front facing listener show notes that you see on all my episodes. That's where I
Which
compose
you
them. I
wind up
have
putting in the comments on YouTube, etc. Or not the but the
yeah,
description and
right,
yeah, okay.
right, right, right. So you'll see the boilerplate template stuff on the bottom, and then on the top you'll see today we're talking
Today's
to,
guest is
yeah, right.
Adam.
And then live copy are my ad reads. So I can go to, I'm going to read the Life Elements ad today in this. I'll put that in the
Hmm.
run of show. So I have all my copy that I create for my clients.
Okay. Yeah.
So back up to iced tea build. The way that looks when it's completely empty, it's like act as a show producer for Adam Montiel. He's preparing for, and then I'll fill that in where one takes you, Up and Adam, pour, whatever it is, and an interview with the guest, and then I have it blank, and then I will fill in the name of the guest, and then I put right below that name, I just paste everything I can find.
Every link that you,
every link I find, and then I'll just speak in real notes. Like I've always loved, like I'm talking to Phil Henry. He's literally a radio idol of mine. I have him for maybe a half hour and I'll just like talk to it. You know, sometimes I'll even, great on GPT, I'll just hit the microphone and just talk. And what's so cool about ChatGPT is you can say, hold on, blah, blah, blah. It can deal with all that. And I type horribly. I can type like a furious misspell third of the words. And of course it knows it's fine. So I paste all that in below the name. And then it's so funny because the next part of it is I have it like at one font. I don't even see it. It just looks like a lot of little squiggles. But if I were to, I'm going to see if I can, I haven't read this in months because I don't read it anymore. And it's such a little one font just so it doesn't take up space on my page.
Yeah.
But it's like, it talks about the iced tea mentality. Iced tea stands for inquisitive, clever, engaging, and thoughtful. But it's more than just a framework for interviews. It's a mentality, a way of approaching every conversation on air, on stage, or across a table with curiosity, creativity, care, and connection. And then I break down each one. Inquisitive, ask with depth, ask with purpose, ask beyond what's expected. Clever, be sharp, be surprising, be human. Make people say, wow, I've never asked that. I've never been asked that. Cleverness isn't about showing off. It's about showing up for the kind of perspective that turns ordinary into unforgettable. Engaging, light the room up, create intimacy and theater all at once. Pull people in, not just with what you say, but how you listen. Thoughtful, lead with heart, be intentional, respect the moment, the guest, the silence. And then I go down into some other stuff. I mean, it's like too long to read all of it, but it's like, and I go, I taught it what a soft reframe was. So, and then I'll add to this. I'll go, hey, I'm just introducing a soft reframe. Each question I want to have a gentle, open-ended follow-up question that invites depth and can perhaps explain something that might have been misunderstood by the guest. So you go through all this, and then I go to more instructions later on after that, and the instructions are and again, these work only when you start feeding it back. So after I tell you all this stuff, I am taking that interview after it's done, making a transcript of it and putting it back into GPT so we can see how I talk, what I did, and what the actual interview that me and GPT worked on together. It will know how that interview actually went by me. So it really is more of anytime you can make GPT something that's obviously not personal, more personal, it'll really help you as the interviewer. I use the term carry the water, like, from here to here, like it help you carry the water. So then please craft questions that are inquisitive, clever, engaging, and thoughtful, delivered in my signature voice and style. Each question should include a soft reframe that spirals the conversation even deeper. The goal is to create moments where the guest pauses, smiles, and says, wow, that was a great question. So now GPT knows, or my custom GPT knows, this is the framework in which we're asking these questions. And then when we do that, it'll give me questions. Now, of course, ChatGPT is not foolproof. Some of the questions kind of suck. They sound fake. I'm like, no, and I'll redo it. Or
so you get, it'll spit out 30, 40, 50 questions, whatever. And you're a professional interviewer. You can say, this question is garbage. This question is great. This question actually inspires me to think, oh yeah, I should be asking about this. And so it becomes personalized there. And I like that. Basically, if I caught you correctly, every interview that you're doing, you're feeding that transcript back in to provide additional context into your thing. And so you're sort of shaping what is an Adam Montiel interview, what is an Adam Montiel style back into your custom GPT. And so it's honing it. There's a feedback loop between sort of what you are like, at least on transcript, and what it winds up sort of this golden picture of what you might be like.
Yeah, great way to put it. And then at the end, when I come back to this iced tea build for post interview, I come back to build the show notes, build the ROS. My run of show is just like pretty much a template. And then here's the episode. I have a tease. I'll normally read an ad or do some local stories. Intro, outro, and then show notes. Tease, intro, and outro are for me. They're like I keep them in caps. I try to make them look like copy, like I'm reading it. The show notes is obviously front facing, so it's paragraph form. It's easy to read. It's got hot links. It's what people see when they get into the podcast. So that's so then that's when I put that transcript back in there. So when I'm doing my intro and tease, and let's say I'm talking to, New York Times bestselling author Jeff Chang wrote this book on Bruce Lee. It was really good. And now GPT knows, oh, now I know how the interview went. I know what this interviewee gave Adam. So in the tease, it can like go, yeah, imagine da-da-da-da, this, and it can like reference even little pieces of what it says. Or I might go, hey, in the intro, like put it this way. Today's show is about this guy named Jeff Chang who wrote this book on Bruce Lee. I know not everybody cares about Bruce Lee. I know not everybody cares about martial arts. I know to some people, they might even know who Bruce Lee is. But I try and cast a wide net. So I saw my tease that we were going back and forth on, and I go, I really want to cast a wide net on this, where even if you don't like martial arts, you don't give a shit about who Bruce Lee was, I want everyone to go, oh, there's something for me in this interview. And that's a real goal. So let's see what my tease was for today's episode. So we're getting in the weeds, baby.
Love this.
All right, so I'll run a show. Okay, so here it is. What if I told you this conversation has nothing to do with Bruce Lee? Like, what a weird sentence to start out. Like,
welcome to the Bruce Lee Show. It's not about Bruce Lee.
It's about you. It's about identity, power, fighting to be seen, and what happens when the world decides you're a symbol before you ever get to be a person. Later in the show, I'm talking to award-winning author Jeff Chang, who's written a groundbreaking new biography on Bruce Lee. But this book isn't just about kicks and credits. Water, Mirror, Echo tells the human story behind this legend. It's a portrait of a man who lived between worlds and built a new one along the way. We're going to talk about reframed masculinity. We're going to shed light on immigrant struggles, which, I mean, how appropriate is that right now? Even Hollywood gatekeeping, and just really why softness might be the next superpower. I'm really excited to introduce you to Jeff Chang. He's going to be on today's Up+Adam. And then that's the tease. And then I'll go, all right, and then I had a little story. I talked about pumpkin carving. We're getting into Thanksgiving. Before we get into that, I don't know if you're a gourd geek or not, or if you're good at your pumpkins.
Gourd geek.
Yeah, so I have a little article that I just paraphrase about your pumpkin and how to. I didn't know you're not supposed to cut the top off. I learned that in this article that I reframed for my audience today. They said that if they say go through the back or the bottom, and your pumpkin will stay like not gross for a long time. Everyone cuts the top off, but yeah, so they said that's the kind of the new thing to do now. Anyway, so I talk about that article, then I go into an ad read for Life Elements today, and then my intro. So I have a little like Up+Adam after the Life Elements, little music comes up. My guest today, one of the most respected cultural historians of our time. He's a writer who spent his career bringing voice to stories that really shape who we are, even when the world's not listening. Jeff Chang is the award-winning author of Can't Stop, Won't Stop, which is a great book, Who We Be, also We Gon' Be All Right. And he's back with another, maybe his most personal and ambitious work yet. It's called Water, Mirror, Echo, Bruce and the Making of Asian America. Now, this book, it's not just about a movie star. It's a human story of immigration, identity, masculinity, and the real price of symbolism. And it's this kind of new way of seeing Bruce Lee, not just as a fighter, but as a philosopher, maybe a mirror, and even a metaphor for all of us who are just trying to belong. Jeff, thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate you being Up+Adam. Hit play, insert. Wow, Adam, thanks for, boom.
So there you go. That's really interesting to me, I guess, because I always thought the intro happens live with the guest. Of course. But you're saying it doesn't, or at least it doesn't have to.
No, that's a little secret
Get
because
your
I don't
intro
have that much
right.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure Jeff Chang would love for me to hear me say
To
that
just
about him. That would take a whole minute, and it might even embarrass him. It might make him shy and go like, "Oh my god, you're making me blush." Like, so no, I just go, "Thanks for being Up and Adam, man," and then I hit play. Boom. Oh, thanks for having me, dude. You know, so
Okay. It's like the two sides of the conversation happen intertemporally. This is awesome. If you don't mind, I guess the last thing that I just wanted to ask you about was sort of technical tools, right? We're using Riverside right now to record this. I understand the value of Riverside, right? Is that it's uploading from my computer and your computer, and sometimes if we get slow internet, it makes sure that the thing doesn't just turn into garbage. Are there any other tools that you use or that you highly recommend, or how do, I guess, you record on Riverside and then what? Right?
yeah, that's a great question. I'll give you. I probably need to pare down because these are all monthly subscriptions, and I use them a lot, but I use them. Sometimes they're all like going, "Oh, Riverside is thinking, hey, Descript is doing this. Let's start doing that." Or Descript is going, "What? StreamYard's doing this now?" I paused my StreamYard account and then I forgot about it. So now I just got like an $88 charge on my card the other day. I was like, "Fuck, what?" Because I don't really want StreamYard, but there's so many interviews I need to like take back before I
Yeah.
cancel it because they're all on their cloud. So that was a bummer because I think Riverside to me for what I'm doing right now is a better platform. I don't know. It just I don't know. It just looked a little. When I saw Riverside, StreamYard felt a little Temu to me, you know. So it was
Okay.
just like I like Riverside now. I think the quality is a little better. There's editing on the back end, so like when we hit done on this, you could do some editing. I can go see me and you right now, half screen. I could make the whole video just you and I'm gone and then you're just talking and then so like I
Oh,
can
okay.
see when the person's on the screen. There's a lot of different technical things like the echo cancellation to the there's some AI in here with like magic audio where it bumps up, equalizes things like that. I don't use everything. Now, AI in some of these programs can be really hit or miss. I also use Descript. It's a little cheaper and I love it for when it transcribes things. I used to record and screen record with Descript. I don't find myself doing that. I'll do a lot of like and editing with Descript. There's also resound.fm. That's a good and editor. It's pretty intuitive. It's web-based as Descript is too, but Descript also has a software. Yeah, I mean, resound.fm, I used that for a long time. I think I'm still paying like $10 a month for that one. I probably could cut that one because I use Descript a lot for my but it's good. Like you want to throw some stuff in there and it's free. You can use a free version of it and get like maybe 10 minutes or something,
Okay.
10 minutes a month. So I would try resound.fm. I would look into Descript, see if StreamYard is your speed, see if Riverside is your speed. If you're doing a lot of this last year, particularly, I started doing more stuff on camera. So when I'm at the Lobro studios down the street, my studios where I have guests, I will have a camera on me, a couple cameras on them, and they're not like Sony A7s or anything. I just got really nice webcams. I mean, they weren't cheap. They're like, they're like $2, but they're good webcams. They're 4K webcams and they're small. I can put them in their little. I have one around me. Put them in their little case. Yeah, I think they're all back at the studio.
But the nice thing is you get sort of like you get B-roll and you can kind of build the
Yeah, or
image
you
of what
can
it's like
like
being there in the studio.
and then I use a company or a software rather called Ecamm, which is
Okay.
I believe it's specifically to Apple. So if you're on Windows, that won't help you. But Ecamm has been pretty cool. And then Ecamm also has what I like, this Zoom feature. So you can through Ecamm access Zoom. And when I do these interviews on these junkets, they're often on Zoom. So it can go right to my Ecamm, put our two cameras up next to each other like this is you and I right now, and it doesn't look like a Zoom platform. It's just camera.
That's nice.
So that's kind of cool. So Ecamm has been important to me in this last year. And can't think of any. Well, then Audition. I do all my editing in Adobe Audition.
Yeah, so let's focus back to like just Up and Adam stuff, right? You're gonna do that. Your local celebrity Up and Adam, record on Riverside. You're gonna do some editing in Riverside, or you're just gonna export that as the video file.
Yeah, I
I'm
might
asking.
export that as a video file, and then anything I do, even if I'll export it as an MP3, and then I'll get
Mhm.
it in Audition because I've been spending 20 years when it was called Cool Edit Pro to Adobe Audition.
Mhm.
Like I know Audition like the back of my hand. I'm very
Okay.
fast at it, so it's like I can feel very comfortable in editing there. Audio, and again, Up and Adam, my podcast, they're mainly audio things. The camera work that I'm using, like stuff like this, camera stuff, I mainly use the camera stuff when I repurpose for social media. So I
Mhm.
might use another one like Opus. That's another web-based AI video editor. And
Okay.
it'll take this interview, right? If I were to put this 20-minute, whatever interview, 40-minute interview in Opus, it'll
It'll
listen
find
to it,
little
find little
10-second
nuggets.
hits. Mhm. Okay. And then the script is used
Riverside does that too,
for
by the way.
okay. Oh, okay. So maybe that's an extra sass I don't need because it's baked into Riverside. That's some extra premium tier, right? So the script then is used for what?
The script was, I mean, if I open it really
Does
quick, I mean, it does
captioning and stuff, right? Or
captioning. It does. If you want to get into videos, it can do videos. I'll bring in things. I find it quickly transcribes. So
Mhm.
let's say I can transcribe an MP3 rather than in Riverside, it's dealing pretty much with I guess you could upload an MP3, but I'll upload an MP3 to Descript and it will look at it for about 90 seconds and it go, okay, let me identify who's who. It'll play like
Oh,
6
that's
seconds
nice.
of it. And I go, oh, that's Adam
Mhm.
Montiel. That's
Okay.
Josh Knox. And then I got my whole transcript. And then
Okay.
that's when I export to, to like a text file or a doc file. And then I'll put
Mhm.
that back into GPT.
And then I guess this last question is just then how do you distribute? I guess you've got stuff going to YouTube. I assume it's in the Apple podcast
Mhm.
store. It's all the different places. How do you get your stuff to all those different places?
I use a hosting company called Blueberry. I really recommend them. They're very reasonably priced. They're based, maybe the only downside, and it's not even a downside, they're based like in Minnesota or something. So like if I make a call at 1 or 2, they're probably
They're
out by
already
then.
3 hours.
But
Mhm.
like oftentimes when I need like tech support, it's like Mike, hello, it's Blueberry. Like it's just some cool dude name, and it's just like it's them. It's like not like a bunch of cubicles or going to India or something. So I really like Blueberry. They host, and then in the back end of Blueberry, you could see you hit your destinations. Like I want my podcast to go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, right? Amazon now used to be called Google Play or Google Podcasts. It used to be called, and now it's called YouTube Music. So
Yeah, that's right.
YouTube and YouTube Music, put it everywhere. So that's how I do those.
Well, awesome. I mean, Adam, I asked you for 20 minutes and you gave me
Oh
40,
my God,
and
no, you're
I'm
fine,
just
dude. You're
so
good. Yeah. If you have any other questions, don't feel like you have to
I'm
rush.
so
We have a couple
grateful.
minutes to do it.
I mean, that's what I got. I mean, what I really got was the iced tea method. And I loved you digging into sort of what's going on within ChatGPT. The way you're using it makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm excited to start sort of using it on my own. I guess my hope is to start doing just weekly interviews with, call it friends and family, and just sort of flex this interviewing muscle.
Good for you,
It'd be
man.
really fun.
That's incredible. Good for you for doing that, and thanks for having me do this with you. And I'm happy to help you or answer any questions, or feel free to reach out anytime, even if it's for some silly one-off question, or you want to get on the phone for another 15, 20 minutes again. I'm happy to do it.
It's been incredible. Thank you.
Of course, my man. Take care. I appreciate you a lot.